right, so if you want to find out about how frequently your chosen word is used in these different Spanish-speaking countries or over time, okay, so you're going to open up the now corpus, and instead of list, okay, which is where we did our first search, you're going to come over here and click on chart. Okay. In the chart section, you're going to type in whatever word it is that you are looking up. Okay, so earlier I looked up batido. Maybe I'm looking up piscina was the one that I used in class the first day that we were working on our field guides. Okay, I want to make sure POS is still in gray and click See Frequency by section. Okay, so it pops up. This is each year, okay, the first half and second half of the year. Okay. The frequency, how many times that word appeared, okay. How many million words were in that section as a whole, and so therefore how frequent your particular word, in this case piscina, was per million words. Okay. So for example, overall, okay, piscina is about 11 out of every million words that are written in Spanish news reports at the very least. Okay. You can click here to change it to a vertical chart if you find that easier to see. Okay. Sometimes I think that can help show this real decline here, right? So if you kind of are drawing this line, it's really becoming a far less frequent word. And then all of a sudden at the end of 2019, it was like whoosh, it suddenly became used way more frequently. We went from 8 out of every million words to 21.5 out of every million words. Something must have happened in 2019. My guess is that there was probably like maybe news about a swimmer or maybe some kind of political scandal or something like that that would have gotten a lot of news coverage, is my assumption. You can also see frequency by country. Okay, so we can look and see from every single one of these countries where they collected news articles, what was the frequency, size, and per million use of the word piscina. And then we can visualize that as well. Okay, so for example, España, Spain, really apparently likes to talk about piscinas. And same with Guatemala, but not so much Mexico, which makes some sense if you remember when we were translating our word, there was a Mexican-specific regional word for piscina. Same with Argentina. Okay, so if they have multiple words and one of those words is specific to the region, it makes sense that the standard word might be used a little bit less compared to other words that are other places that don't have regional variations. Okay. You can also click on any of these for the actual context. Okay, so say I wanted to see what was happening in Panama specifically around the word piscina. I want to click on this bar graph here, okay, and it will pull up the examples that they have in their database that only came from Panama. Okay. It will not show any examples from any other country, okay, if you do it that way. Okay. To go back, you're going to click on chart up here. Okay. You can also do the same thing by year. If we're doing frequency by year, I can come up here and I can click and see. Oh, here it is. It's down in the bar graph again. And click and see. And now these are all examples that were specific to that half of the year 2018. So 6:30, looks like I clicked on the first half of 2018. Okay. So you do not have to have a specific example for this section. Okay, so if you chose to look at the frequency per year or the frequency per country. You don't have to give these specific examples, but I do find that really interesting, especially when you start noticing things, right? Like how certain countries are looking more particularly popular for that word, or like certain years. Sometimes, it's interesting to click on that and see if you can find a pattern as to why all of a sudden in the second half of 2019 people started really talking about pools like way more than ever before, when they had earlier been kind of like forgetting about them a little bit. Okay, so sometimes that's just interesting for your own education, or sometimes you can use that information to help support your analysis and conclusions.